mine went.
It took me a moment.
You don't have to, Nelly.
No, I was there 5 minutes ago.
Welcome everybody to the Misadventure cast.
Hello.
This week we're doing things slightly different. Matt is at an exam, so Phil is here. He's up there. He might be somewhere else for somebody else, but he's up there.
He's filling in for Matt.
Hey, so this week, normally we would bring our own topics, but something kind of grabbed my attention this week, and it was just a couple of days ago actually. So for like the 8th podcast, we'll be talking about Fallout 76. Not in a row, but that's 8 of them that we'll be talking about it. We'll also be talking a little bit about the Nintendo Direct that just happened, which was Pokemon related. I have all of the announcements on a list on my other screen. So, let's get to it, I guess. So, there's... Todd Howard has done an interview for IGN. The full thing's not available yet.
7th July.
Yeah, apparently people are quiet. Let's deal with that.
I'll just speak up and see if that helps.
Through the box.
No one's pointed it out yet that he's wearing a fucking box on his head. Like, I'm just...
He's wearing a box.
So...
It's
Yeah, so there's this IGN interview that Todd Howard has done. If anybody doesn't know, Todd Howard is the head of Bethesda. Talking about... Well, I don't know what the whole interview is going to be about, but he was asked about Fallout 76. Now, the snippet that we've got is... He said... and this is relating to Fallout 76 and its launch and how badly it reviewed. We knew we were going to have a lot of bumps. That's a difficult development. He then goes on to say, so there was like this Fallout 76, which reviewed purely at launch, has continued to receive major updates since it's a shift away from the experiences players have come to expect from the series. You know that a lot of people might say, that's not the game we want from you, Howard said. We were ready for a lot of difficulties end up on screen, admitting that a lot of criticism the game received in a review was very well deserved. This is not going to be a high Metacritic game. This is not what this is. But he then said, and this, like, he's willing to take the hits for it being a bad game, which is fine. Fair enough. Respect to him for it. And that'll probably be the only time I'll ever say that about Todd Howard. But he said, believes that a game like Fallout 76 is not how you launch, it's what it becomes, and that the game has improved dramatically since launch. It's really turned around. It's a fabulous game with an incredible community. Their plan is to simply keep making the game better, and then there'll be more on the 7th of July from that interview, which I might actually watch because they did an unfiltered with Peter Molyneux, and that was quite interesting. So might watch it just for the full interview on that, because it could be quite interesting.
The stream is very quiet.
I've turned it up.
I just muted you for a second and listened to you through the stream, and I had you on full, and I could barely hear you.
Okay, hang on. Right.
You got a cough.
The stream is turned up, and it's basically showing in the yellow, as is my mic. So let's. Anyway.
According to Ryan, it's fine on his end.
Yeah. It could just be weird balancing issues. Okay, so it's not how you launch, it's how you do after. Yes and no. You can't launch with a bad product. Right? Now, if your product is bad and you're still going to hit the green light on that, and then use the excuse of, we'll make it better afterwards, that's lazy as far as I'm concerned. That is, fuck it, it's done, get it out the door. Now, they knew with those beta tests that it was going to be bad. Right? So they knew this. They knew the problems, and in that moment, they had the opportunity to delay the game and they didn't. We've had this conversation before, I'm aware of this. But now, with what he said, it brings a lot more context to the decision that was made to not delay it and just release it 3 weeks later. They knew it was going to be bad, they released it anyway and went, fuck it, we'll patch it afterwards. So, I genuinely don't know kind of what to do with that situation now, because we ragged on Fallout 76 for like 7 weeks in a row. We were on it.
I never played it though. To be fair, none of us. No,
still not played it. I've
Never
seen it for like £5 on CD keys. Still not played it. I will. I genuinely will. Just when that fiver doesn't feel like I'd rather use it as toilet. Rather use a £5 note as toilet paper than buy Fallout 76. So when I stop feeling like that, then maybe we'll pick it up.
Being memed.
I need to take this off. It's getting way too hot in here.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry, Nelly.
Okay. It's a stupid idea to release a game that you know is bad, because no matter how much you're improving it, the people initially have paid money for it. You shouldn't have to pay money straight up for a game that then reduces so much in price to become an okay game. It wasn't a cheap game to start with. They didn't release it as if it was going to be.
Yeah, it had full
That's
RRP.
what.
Yeah.
That's what, like, you
Just
know.
50 quid, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what like betas are for and everything, to like try it out beforehand, because you can buy obviously access to some games early and go through the whole process of like the fixing stage, and people like doing that and they like helping out. That is fine. Releasing a game to people that people think is going to be a full game and is going to be on a similar par to the other games that they then are like, oh yeah, no, we knew it wasn't going to be good, isn't fair, because people have paid for a game they think is going to come out from the start
Yeah.
as what they
Yeah.
want.
They could have even said the game's coming out in 2 years. You can pre-order it now. If you pre-order it now, you get access to the beta. So
Yeah.
you get your money, but you know it's going to be shit, and we're telling you the shit. It's not ready. It's not finished. It won't be finished for 2 years. Start playing it now. If you don't, or wait and order it when it comes out properly.
Yeah.
And that just managing the expectation in a completely different way just would have avoided
T-Nick.
all of the shit that they landed on themselves.
Ryan, yeah, you say something, and we'll talk about this a bit more, but Ryan said something interesting, which is I think Bethesda releasing buggy game after buggy game, and gamers saying, oh, that's just Bethesda though, has finally caught up with them. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit, because there's another article I saw which they're releasing their sci-fi open world RPG before they're releasing Elder Scrolls 6. Now, the question really is, when you have the head of that team coming out and saying, yeah, we knew it was bad, fuck it, put it out anyway, and is then releasing another game, two new games, and has had Chizzy, nice, good man, has then said, we've got these other, and it's like, what are you expecting from people? Do you know what, Phil, just to go back to your point there, if they had put Fallout 76 early access, solved all the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Would have solved them all. But because they released it as a full price, finished game, they then got hate for it. And then PR problem after PR problem after PR problem after PR problem. 7 weeks in a row we talked about Fallout 76. 7 weeks in a row. 7 shows that we talked about that. Because
The canvas back.
yeah, every week they were doing something fucking stupid. One of their core gameplay mechanics, which was the raids at the end of the game, when people launched multiple of them, ruined their fucking servers. Like, how does that work? How do you go, nah, this is fine? Did they not have
maybe people won't launch 5
sitting...
at a time.
Yeah, did they not have, like, 15 plus testers that all launched a nuke at the same time? Was that not something they thought we should probably check that, right? Like, we should probably make sure that doesn't happen. That's not going to be a problem. No.
Maybe they thought they were only getting 4 people playing the game. Maybe all the people that played it.
Do you know my favourite line from that? My favourite line from that article is It's a fabulous game with an incredible community. You have about 15 people that still play the game. To the point where you're having to release it outside of your own launcher because nobody's bought it on fucking Bethesda launcher. Germany, Germany when it came out, but maybe 3-4 months after it came out, they were giving. Sorry, excuse me, I've just eaten. They were giving the game away for free with PlayStation controllers.
Mm.
Like,
I thought it was Xbox controllers.
probably both, buddy. Probably both.
Probably with USB sticks. Like,
Giving it away with toilet paper.
yeah. Here's your fee.
It's insane to me that they did this and that now he's talking about it like it's so funny, isn't it? How we released that game that was shit and broken.
Yeah, I think it's wrong that they're admitting it. Really, I mean, they should have just said. I mean, come out and said it wasn't ready. We went too quickly with it. We were too eager to get it into people's hands, or something like that's crap. But it's plausible. But everyone knows it's bullshit. But they'll accept it, and just move on rather than trying to. All they're doing is making it worse for themselves.
They'd have been forgiven much more for delaying it than they're ever going to be for releasing it and improving it. No one wants it anymore. No one cares. They can improve it all they want. People are still going to be like, well, it was shitty, so I'm not going to get it. I'm going to wait till another one comes out and everyone says, oh, it's good, and then I'll buy that game.
Yeah. If they'd tried from the beginning and said, we're doing game as a service, Fallout 76 will be a game as a service, so we're launching it, in its beginning phase, and we will continuously improve it, they probably wouldn't have got quite so much backlash either. But same with early access style.
Well, that's the thing, though. Games as a service at least launch in a competent state. Okay, so
yes, that's true.
So
like
Destiny is a
Siege.
game as a service. Siege is a game as a service. Now, were they fantastic when they launched? No. But were they broken, terrible messes? No.
No.
They were not dying every 10 minutes. There was not major PR stunts happening, or faults, or whatever you want to call them. They weren't happening. Now, even if they had launched that as a game, you're right. It wouldn't have been quite so bad, but it still would have been terrible. The only thing that I think could have saved them in that situation is to go early access, because then the game is essentially in a trash state. But then, Bob, you've been playing Satisfactory. That's early access. Yeah. Have you had a problem with that?
And it's actually pretty good. I've had one bug when I got stuck inside a conveyor belt.
Which all you need to do is delete the conveyor belt and walk away and rebuild it.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's like everything else is pretty smooth. I've not noticed any major bugs. It's a bit feature lacking, but it's early access, so I don't expect it to have all the features.
You need to unlock more tech, buddy, because there's a ton of stuff. There's like
I've not played a huge amount.
Yeah, there's like jetpacks, there's vehicles, there's a map.
For a cardboard box. It probably did. I get that a lot.
Fucking there's a ton of stuff. There's explosives later on in the game. There's a ton of stuff that's locked behind research. So like it feels very bare bones, but the whole point of the game is that it gives you it as you're ready for it. So something I said in a shared Discord server where I said, in fact it was one of Ryan's Discord servers, I said in there, like Satisfactory, it has this way of doing things where you are in full control of the technology you can access. So if you want to spend your first 10 hours going out, pulling in the copper and iron sources that you can very, very early, then by all means, do that. Because in that set of tech trees, all you'll need is copper and iron. So you can just bring it in and just build stuff and stockpile all that shit and build a nice little miniature factory, because all you've got to do is finish your hub. Basically, what is the tutorial? Finish your hub and build that.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, you very slowly just start going, okay, I'll have that, and I'll have better conveyor belts, and we'll have like access to this mineral so I can get coal power. And it's just very slowly you unlock it as and when you're ready for it. So it seems a bit featureless in its first sort of 5-6 hours, if you want it to be. which I really, really like, because I feel like a lot of these
Yeah.
open world survival games kind of just go, here's everything, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do?
It's also
I'm
it's
just gonna
like
hit a tree
here's
for
your
10
tech
minutes.
tree. It's like here's your tech tree. You have to explore it in the way that we've designed it. Yeah, you're right. That tech tree in Satisfactory is far more open, and the consequences for not researching a particular thing are you get it a bit later. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's not like
You'd have to
oh
decide not
shit.
to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
you can
oh
upgrade
shit.
your automatic miners to Mark IIs. It doubles its output. That's it. Like it just
Yeah.
makes it faster. You know, like because that's the other thing I said about Satisfactory is it's all about building to automation, and then from then on, it's making it faster and pulling in more materials, and then doing it again.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
the
cookie
gameplay,
It's
clicker, but
iterating.
extreme.
basically, I guess.
Iron.
If
I'm
that's
gonna play that game.
if that's what we have to go with, then yes, it's a bit like
Cookie clicker.
So
T-Nick made a point there. Sorry.
yeah, no, Satisfactory
Yeah,
$60. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
right now, because the Epic sale's still on, if you don't have it, it's $16.99 with your £10 off if you haven't used the voucher already. $16.99 for a fantastically well polished early access game. That's worth doing.
In the beginning.
Or £5 for the Fallout 76.
Do you know
It's
what?
value for money argument, right?
I have
How
no
much
money
is it
left, so
actually?
Screw it. Let's have a look.
they're all too much for me.
Let's go to CD keys and let's see how much Fallout 76 currently is.
It's on Steam as well, isn't it? I looked there.
I don't know if it's on Steam yet.
Epic
look.
Game Launcher.
No, they've got their own stupid thing, haven't they?
What one is it? Right,
It's
Fallout
not on Steam.
76 EMEA, which is the European version of it. You can buy the worldwide, which is $34.99, but for our specific region, it's $11.99. A game that has been out since what? October?
Yeah,
November? Something like that last year?
I think it was October.
And it's not even running on your computer, it's running on somebody else's, their computer. They can't be making any money on that.
Pretty much. I am not clicking my history tab. It's just not happening, buddy. That'll never happen.
He doesn't want you to see all the unicorn pictures he looks like.
Sure, let's go with unicorns. That's safe for work.
Depends on the unicorns. We know people that will send really disturbing pictures.
Chizzy.
Saying you got quieter again. You did move from the mic though.
Yes, I did. So the second part of this is fuck, I've forgotten. So this has happened, okay? Now, the other thing I posed as a question to you guys in the little group chat was, what other games in recent memory, even further out, do you think have done similar things? Or the same thing, and then just not dealt with it? Like, fuck it, we'll fix it after. And let's take out games as a service, because that's what they're designed to be. At least they launch in a somewhat polished state. Well, I'm talking, the game is absolute trash on the day it launches, and they probably knew that was going to be the case, and they were like, fuck it, we'll fix it after.
Well, probably every Marvel movie spin-off game, every spin-off from any movie game, but except that they probably never fix them. They're just always shit.
Yeah.
The thing about movie licensed games is that they have a time limit and a very limited budget to make what they have. So they're not always great. Some of them are okay, but they're not always great, and that's more publisher and movie studio involvement that causes that problem, and that's pretty much common knowledge these days.
I know.
So
It's a brand.
Still counts.
So one that comes into my memory just now, just thinking, is Assassin's Creed Unity. So that was the one where people's faces were turning inside out in cutscenes. Now, I'm sorry, Ubisoft, you've done some great things lately. Rainbow Six Siege looks fantastic, plays fantastic. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, great game. Origins, pretty good. Ghost Recon Wildlands, really, really good. What the fuck did you do with Unity? We'll just patch it afterwards. It's fine. People's faces are turning inside out in cutscenes and stuff, and people are just walking around into places they shouldn't be. Every Bethesda game, yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
So Scott from my work was telling me something
Facts.
interesting. He bought Skyrim VR, and it feels like they've done a similar situation with Fallout 76 with Skyrim VR. Is they went, well, fuck it, we'll sell it on the name because he said it doesn't work. Like, it could be down to his tracking not being right because he has issues with his tracking for his VR. But at the same time, I can't imagine it's that stable. Like, yeah, we'll charge 50 quid for this VR game.
I think a lot of the VR stuff isn't
that's
the best. Like,
I haven't had a problem with, apart from games that cost like 2 quid and you're like, fuck it, I'll give it a look, and they're really bad. But anything that has a sort of value in it is usually pretty good.
yeah.
The problem with like the PSVR is it relies on a camera to check where you are and your location and stuff. So, games are really good if VR is on the table early in dev. Yeah, I think it was another one of these situations where Bethesda went, we don't have it on VR, and it was like, you know, the whole joke of like you'll be able to play Skyrim on a toaster. Well, there you go. You can play
That's gonna
Skyrim
happen.
where you're in your fucking face, you know.
You can already play it on Alexa. Right. John's had to mute for that bit.
No, it was for the vaping.
I know.
Um,
I have actually played the very special edition that's on Alexa. It's actually less buggy.
can play Skyrim on my microwave. Nice. Well, not nice.
It's a fucking fancy microwave.
Fucking stick it in your microwave and turn it on for 5 minutes.
No, that's a waste of a microwave.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to stick all the copies of Skyrim in your microwave to truly get rid of it.
That's not so bad then. It's a worthy sacrifice for a microwave at that point.
I like Skyrim.
I liked it, but I got a saturation point with that game because I played it so much that I eventually just got sick of it.
That's
And it's not that it's bad, it's
Yeah.
just I got past it.
that's you played it too much.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause that's a good game.
And that's
I want to play
that's a
Oblivion
sign
again,
that it
but I
wasn't good
can't.
enough that I had to stop playing it.
But
It's amazing how you
it was
can't go
good,
back to games. Like, I can't go back to Oblivion now that I've played Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair.
so
Oblivion, I love that game, but it's bad.
it's interesting that people find Skyrim so good, and
I
it's
love it.
interesting that people still find Fallout so good. Is that just the Bethesda fanboys that are still being like, but it's so good? Because I had this conversation with someone at work, and it was a case of they haven't, and I've said this before, they haven't changed their tech in 12 years, if not longer now. They haven't done, they've patched it over and made it work on the next gen. Okay, that's as much as they've done. So every subsequent release of a game that's running on newer hardware with an engine that's getting older and older and older, why do people still think they're good? Now, I'm willing to admit, it's not the type of game that it's for me. I don't like wandering around fucking aimlessly. It's not my thing. Now, that's fine. But then you see all of the bugs and the errors and the crashing and the lack of mod support for the PlayStation because PlayStation were being assholes and Bethesda were being assholes, or it wouldn't run, and then the Fallout DLC kept crashing for Fallout 3 on the PlayStation 3, and they did the paid mod support that didn't work properly, and it just seems like people glorify and put Bethesda's proper core RPGs on pedestals, and they're just like, these are the best games ever. I don't get it. If someone wants to explain that to me, if someone genuinely wants to explain that to me in a way that is not just, oh, but they're so good, please do.
I'll have a go.
Well-
I'll have a go.
Okay.
The first the paid mod thing was actually a Steam thing, wasn't it? I don't think that was theirs. It's just that they just wanted to
were heavily
pillage it.
involved
They were
with
taking 75% or something.
they were heavily involved
They would,
with the pilot program of it that failed because it was most of it was done for Skyrim paid mods.
yeah, but they were ripping it off. They were taking 75% or something. There was some stupid share they were taking out. Anyway, I think those games are a form of escapism that people get into. They almost like build a life in it, similar with World of Warcraft and Second Life when that was a thing.
Oh God, Second Life.
World of Warcraft.
And with all the mods, the game can be expanded, can be infinitely, and people like that game. There are lots of people that only play COD, and there are lots of people that only play Overwatch, and they only play Fortnite. They're just, it's not that you'd probably call them fanboys, but it's not that they're necessarily looking at it gleamy-eyed and can't see any fault in it. It's just that they enjoy that sort of that experience. For me, I love Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Fallout 4 I don't find as good. I miss the way Fallout 3 was. And Skyrim,
See, just before you carry on, what's different between 3 and 4 to you
then? I think it's that, and with Skyrim as well, the Radiant quests and things like that. I like the idea that you can complete it. You can visit all the locations. You can do all the stuff at all of the locations, and it's done. I don't like you can get fixed guns and all that stuff. Not there just a random roll of whatever you happen to be lucky enough to get. And that probably appeals to a lot of people, but for me, that kind of spoils it a bit. And then when the game gets grindier and grindier and it's all the same, you go to another 5 locations and they're just the same and the same artwork and the same everything. And Fallout 4 just, I didn't like the power armor thing in Fallout 4. I thought that just made it too complicated.
then? Definitely don't play 76 because you're relying on it.
Well, I liked in three in Vegas that that it was just more stuff that you wore. It was just another piece of armor. Yeah. But in 4, it's an extra fucking thing that you've got to piss around with.
Can I just say the weapon creation and the customization was actually one of the things that I liked about 4, because it added something to it for me that I found interesting. Because it was like, okay, so I need to find these items and upgrade these weapons, and they had, I think if they hadn't had visual changes depending on what you changed, I wouldn't have found it as interesting. Because that's one thing that really bugs me in JRPGs, is that when you equip armor and well, maybe not so much weapons, but when you equip armor, your visual doesn't change. And people have always given me it's budget, it's expensive to do that. I'm playing an indie game right now called Moonlighter, which is pixel art. It's all like animated pixel art. When you equip something new, your visuals change. So you can't tell me that it's a budget thing nowadays. So when something changes, you change, like if you add a stock onto something and it doesn't visually change, that kind of annoys me. Because it's like, well, what's the point? Like, it doesn't look at it. You better just giving me money and putting it into stats at that point. Like, this gives you like a plus 5 to recoil. You get 5% less recoil. Cool. Just give me a skill point or something, and I can just tick a box. It's the same thing.
I didn't have a problem with the weapon mod thing. There was weapon mods in New Vegas, but it was fixed mods. You could only you got that gun and you could put its 4 mods on or whatever, 3 or 4 mods. It's more the special effect things that would just randomly roll from a random enemy, and then you could get the same gun again, but with a different. But I'd have preferred it if you could have had a weapon that you could split the part, like the part had a special effect on, and you could collect a load of them, and you could put 5 of them together and have 5 effects on one gun, and you got a unique weapon that way. But that isn't really what. I'm still playing it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm still playing the new.
Doesn't that kind of
Nuke-
explain quite a lot though? And if like, you tanked your way through Metro, but like Fallout 4 specifically has taken you a long time to get through. And I know that you have other things going on in your life, obviously, but it's like
I started it before my daughter was born.
boom, there you go. How old is she right now? Like,
She's 2.
point proven. It's obvious. Fallout 4 specifically obviously isn't that good a game if it's not gripped your attention enough in your free time to go, I'll play Fallout 4. No, I've seen you play Everspace a lot recently. I haven't seen you launch Fallout 4 unless you've been like, I've got nothing else to do for a stream. I don't want to play Overwatch. Let's do Fallout 4. It's like.
I actually, strangely enough, I finished Everspace, but I got unlocked my last achievement yesterday. So this evening, I briefly, for about 5 minutes, put Fallout 4 on.
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, but I turned it off because the baby wasn't going to sleep, and we swap over so we can both get stuff done.
I'm just going to very quickly cut to the chat. Ryan has said, if you look at Fallout 3 and look at Fallout 4, there's a 7-year gap between the two, but it's hard to distinguish between them, apart from slightly shinier graphics. Fallout 3 was an innovation and 4 wasn't. Ryan, if you're still here, buddy, how was 3 innovation? Just out of sheer curiosity. 4 felt whimsical. Don't know why, I'm not a fan of Fallout, just not my type of game. I played a good chunk of 3, 4 in New Vegas, and 4 just felt off. Whimsical in a bad sense, mind you, it's not a game that should feel that way. And then he just joins me with like armor changing looks and RPG. At that point, make them internal parts, they don't make the person feel like they should be. Yeah, exactly. Make them internal or give me a stat. I don't care if it doesn't change. The baby doesn't like it when Daddy plays. See, your kid's smart, Phil. Your kid's already smart at 2. It's like, stop playing those shitty Bethesda games. They're bad for your
Calm
health.
down.
You'll end up with a box head.
Yeah.
Hey.
Anyway, so you were convincing me.
Yeah, mostly finished. And it was mainly the thing that you haven't sort of responded to is that it was that it's a world that's going more on the PC than on the console. You haven't got the mods or whatever. But you do have mods on the Xbone and the PS4. I don't.
You
know.
can get them, yeah, but they're not as expensive as they are on PC.
Yeah, this Skyrim, yeah, you can get sort of very specific bunch.
You can't just get like all of the
yeah,
weird lightsaber mods and stuff like that. They have to be.
You can't do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
it's got to be their approved
by Sony and.
Yeah.
Can you get Thomas the Tank Engine Dragon?
No, it's the only one that anyone ever cares about, though.
I heard that on another podcast, an American podcast. Is he called Thomas the Train in America? I don't know, because that's what they called him. Anyway, I digress.
Look at the industry when Fallout 3 released back in 2008. At that point, it's the only game, at least on console, that you could have that kind of experience with.
Oblivion was out before that, as well as Skyrim, I think. Or did Skyrim come after? It's hard to remember.
No, Skyrim's after. After New Vegas. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if it comes to genre for that type of thing, then yeah, because like Oblivion's fantasy and Fallout 3 was dystopian, futuristic. But at the core, it's still the same type of game. It's still an RPG. But yeah, I get the point there. It's
now. To me, now obviously the scope wasn't as big, but to me, I would argue Fable 2, because that was out in the 360. And Fable 1 came out in a generation before that.
But they're different in the sense of the fact that you don't like Skyrim and Fallout. Well, Skyrim, I know Skyrim and Oblivion better than Fallout because I don't play Fallout. But they're not like explory. That's what I always found with Fable, is it's like, follow this little glowy trail, and you can kind of like go over here if you want, and then a big troll attacks you, and then you can kind of come back. Like,
Maybe Fable
If you
2.
live.
Fable 1 was a little bit different, and they kind of
Mm.
started to botch it with Fable 2. But there was other, maybe not, like I said, not the same scope, but there were other experiences similar to that were there.
The thing is though, Fable. I played the first Fable on the original Xbox. Probably put 4 or 3.5 playthroughs before the Lost Chapter came out, then put another 2 playthroughs into it. I bought the Anniversary Edition on the PC, but you haven't got the hours. It's not a 200-hour game. Or I mean, I've got one playthrough of Skyrim, and it's 200 hours, and probably more than that. And that's nothing compared to what some people have.
there's not as much side stuff. Yeah, you can't like bugger off for like hours at a time and go do other things. Like you can do other things, but like it's very short in Fable.
It's only a little bit non-linear, really. It is non-linear, but it's mostly main missions, and you can do the side quests in whatever order you want, more or less. But beyond that, it's good. I think it's almost perfect in terms of how much exploration there was versus. I mean, it's. I don't know if anyone remembers when we did our 5 favorite games. It was on my list.
Absolutely, it was on mine as well.
And Fable 2, I didn't play when it came out because I had a PlayStation. When I bought an Xbox 360, I did get it, and I loved it. Lots of people gave it a lot of shit. I don't know why it got so much shit, but Fable 3 was.
It wasn't. So they
Fable
stripped out
shit.
a lot of mechanics from the first one that they shouldn't have stripped out. So one of my favorite things, it's a visual thing, is when you put points into your strength, you got physically bigger in one.
Yeah.
So stuff like that disappeared.
It did. That was there. I'm sure it was.
It wasn't as prominent. I think you might be right. You got slightly bigger, but it wasn't as. I remember maxing out my strength, and I was like the fucking Hulk in Fable 1. You just you're like this, right? And then you turn on Berserker, and you get like twice as big as that again. Fable 2, you got like bigger arms and slightly chunkier legs. It really didn't have as much impact. And with Fable 3, it became sort of
that
like,
was just shit.
Make your choice. And it's like, no. It also felt like in Fable 1, like if you chose magic over combat, over melee combat, they felt like different styles of gameplay. They felt genuinely different. Whereas I feel like with Fable 2, they tried to go to life sim, and it kind of suffered on the combat side of things.
Well, on that, I was about to mention that actually. In the first one, I mean, I used to play it. The spells were like spells that would boost your melee and stuff like that. So you'd have like triple strike, or it was double strike, and then you powered up to quad strike. But that was you activate that, then you hit him with your sword. In 2, it was only fireballs and lightning and stuff. There wasn't any boosting spells.
So they just made things super basic for 2, and that was where it lost a lot of people. And then, and I'm not saying that there wasn't cool moments in 3. There was some nice stuff, but overall, it wasn't Fable. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to move time forward in an Industrial Revolution. If the rumors about the new Fable are to be believed, I think it could be very, very interesting. But I'm hoping it's at E3 because they're talking about essentially what's happened is there's been this massive cataclysm, and the world that existed before that was Albion is no more. And they're building this world above it. And there's mention of Teresa, there's mention of the Jack of Blades, who they didn't mention in 2 and 3. They just forgot they existed. Now, Teresa might have been in one of them, but they were core parts of the story.
She was in both of them.
Yeah, she was.
In 2. She was
the main character. She was in the third one.
She wasn't in the third one.
She was.
Was she not like the fucking... was she not the ghost that was like fucking leading you through that path to royalty or some shit like that?
She wasn't a ghost.
Either way...
She was...
Jack of Blades and Teresa were like these core characters that there was no mention of Jack of Blades afterwards and what he was trying to do in the Guild of Heroes and all that shit. It just disappeared. And it looks like with this new one that there will be a return to that.
It didn't just disappear. There was in between before 2 came out. There was a whole thing about how heroes were turned into they were sort of pariahed and they were all hunted down and killed. And there was a story of one of them who was a hero who was married and he ran off, and it goes through. The guild gets destroyed, which is why at the start of the Fable 2, the guild is a swamp. Well, no, it's a pool, isn't it? It's buried underneath the lake, and then he goes to Bowerstone, and they find him there, so he runs to Oak Vale, and then he goes to Witchwood, and then he goes to Hook Coast, and eventually every time he writes to his wife, suddenly they find him, and then he at Hook Coast he sees his wife in the audience. This was before it came out. The game came out. You could easily have missed it.
That's probably why.
But
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, look that up if you can. It's probably interesting in a historical kind of background. But it didn't just disappear. It was explained.
So sort of to tie it into like, you know, it being close to Fallout though, is it seems like this new one is going to be open world, and they're saying that there's a second cataclysm coming. And again, this is all rumors, so we'll find out on Sunday at some point on Sunday, hopefully, because that's when Microsoft conference is, which we'll be covering here. Me and some other people possibly will be in voice chat talking shit about Microsoft. They're talking about, so there's a second cataclysm coming. The game's going to be super open world to the point where apparently you can just let the cataclysm happen. You just go, fuck it, I don't care, I'm just going to go do this stuff and then ignore it. So there's some interesting shit coming from that. But fair enough. I'm willing to admit that in this specific case, Fable is not as big as Fallout or as big as Skyrim or thingy. But I still feel that they are similar experiences, because if you take Fable The Lost Chapters launching on the original Xbox, of how big that was, and obviously Morrowind was there, but everybody shits on Morrowind now. You know, apart from them all begging and clamoring for the Morrowind expansion for Elder Scrolls Online.
Man, Morrowind was boring as fuck. It's just because everything you had to read. I've said this before. You had to read everything, and Nelly thinks it's funny that I had a problem reading. But remember, this was on a 480p telly or whatever fucking shit they did. Whatever the spec was for an old TV plugged in via SCART or whatever. So sorry for those of you under 25 who have no idea what SCART is.
I remember when the original 360 came out, and they kind of just went, buy a new TV if you can't read the subtitles, and everybody was like, what? Because it was HD, and you couldn't watch it, you couldn't read subtitles on fucking standard definition TVs anymore. They were just pixelated mess at the bottom of the screen. I remember that so vividly, and how pissed off everybody was getting, because it was like, it's so Microsoft of that time to go, just buy a new TV. That's all you're gonna get. Really, it's how you do it.
But the first 360s didn't have HDMI, so you still had to use the SCART for it.
You could use component cables, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could use component. Yeah, but component's not to. I think it's what was the other one? There was a little. I can't remember, S-Video or something.
I think they're more. No, I think that's something else. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think eventually because the 360's launch was so fucking weird. It was like you could get the Elite, you could get the Standard, and you could get the Arcade. And it was like the Arcade only had
not to start with.
Like, what was the one missing? Because there was 2 launch models. There was 2 or 3 launch models.
The Pro, not the Pro, the Elite was later. That was
later, right? Okay. Well, you still had the standard Xbox, and you still had the Arcade. And I think are you sure it wasn't like the main Xbox had the HDMI, but the Arcade didn't? Because it was stripped out to make it cheaper.
They all eventually got it. They eventually all got it. It wasn't a thing at the time. HDMI was like bleeding edge at that time, so it wasn't there. The arcade.
Richard,
The arcade was one that didn't.
I went down to my mum and dad's last year, and like their skybox was acting up. Now they had it plugged in by HDMI, but my dad didn't want to unplug the SCART. And I was like, it's just fucking gathering dust. It's not even plugged into the TV. So I just took the SCART cable out, and it was a black SCART cable. But when I took it out, it was covered in like this thick amount of grey dust, and it was. Can I just bin this? It's fucked. So, is it, and I kind of know the answer to this, but there's a bit of discussion to be had. Is it okay to do like release games that you know aren't going to be good at the start if you do something like early access? So is early access, let's break it down. And early access, is that a good idea? Is it always a good idea? Is it only good in specific instances? If a game you know is going to launch bad, in the case of Fallout 76, that could have saved it. But then, you know, if you pay full price for it and it still says early access, you know, there's...
At least you're warned.
That's very true.
The thing is, Bethesda, they tried to launch 76 as if it was a full, ready, complete game.
Yeah.
And now, after the fact, they're turning and going, oh, no, we knew it was going to be bad and we were going to improve it. And it's like, well, okay, I could get that they would have plans to improve it. Any game that you're supporting for a long time should have patches. That's
modern day gaming. Like...
Yeah, that's just software in general, and it has been for over a decade now.
Ryan brings up a very good game that I forgot about. No Man's Sky.
That was awful.
It's a far superior game than it was when it launched, but it took it like 2 years to get there. They should have delayed that longer. And they should not have had somebody at the top of the company over-promising on what people were going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also... I mean, with No Man's Sky, they were crowdfunded, weren't they? To begin with.
Yeah, which makes it worse.
So...
Because people paid for things they didn't get.
But it's also like how long would their money last before they went bankrupt without selling their product? Because that's the other balancing point for any games company when they're developing is then, making sure that there's the cash flowing in the door to keep production going.
At the same time, they tiered it so that these things would be paid for as things were, you know, people donated the money to it. So what the hell did they do with the money?
True.
You know, because like if that money was getting sent to the department that needed it to make that specific mechanic, what did they do with it that it didn't launch with that mechanic? That was the question that a lot of people were asking. Like, well, we put loads of money in to get these specific things, and you've not delivered on them, so what the fuck did you do with our money?
They brought canvas bags. They budgeted to buy canvas.
That's why Bethesda didn't have any canvas bags, is because two and a half years ago, the guys at No Man's Sky bought them all and just bought the full supply of canvas in the world, so Bethesda couldn't get it.
So Ryan's saying that crucially they were in an experienced studio, so yeah, that definitely has an impact on your abilities. And yes, apparently they had a flood. I did not know that, but that would also explain delays. And yeah, that's the kind of thing that could end a company if they don't have a backup way of continuing.
But wouldn't you have insurance that would sort that out?
Yeah, but there's still the impact when people can't.
I guess.
You don't have insurance for the amount of like the actual physical work you've done.
That's fair.
Yeah, can't recover data.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that. It's
now, me personally, I will look at early access and I'll look at what other people are saying about the current state of it. Now, normally I wouldn't listen, I would just make that decision for myself and buy it. But when it comes to early access, I want to see what other people are currently experiencing from the game. With the exception of
dun, dun, dun. Nice, like it.
like with the exception of Satisfactory, which I bought because it looked fucking awesome. And even from screenshots, you could tell that was a competent and pretty polished game as where it was sitting. There's a lot of games you look at and you go, and then you read like the Steam reviews, or you go see what the current impressions are online.
Yeah.
It genuinely just feels like if they had gone, guys, this is early access, people would just went, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
And they would have paid the money because the
Yeah.
fanboys would have paid the money just to get in.
Realistically, they had two decisions and they made a third one that didn't exist, which was to release it. The two decisions were early access or delay, and then they went, nah, let's release. And it fucked everything up for them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the whole interview hasn't been released, but like, in my head, because I'm clearly a cynical person, what was if he's just lying? What if he's just like, oh, we fucked up? Like,
that's the thing.
Like,
is that the case?
Let's just pretend like we did it on purpose.
Dude, it's a crap lie. It's a crap lie.
It's a really
lie.
bad. But
do
maybe
you
we didn't
not
realize
think-
how bad it was.
But do you not think it's like, oh, fuck, we'll take responsibility for it and everybody will forgive us? But we don't actually want to take responsibility
It's like
for
a bit coincidental that they've left it this long. It's now worth £11 on
They've
CD
waited.
keys, and now they've turned around and gone, yeah, we knew.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I do feel like they were waiting until the heat from the media frenzy had died down enough that a resurgence might actually win them any kind of points.
Yeah.
But the damage is done.
Ryan,
They just need to accept that.
Ryan is asking, do you think it was acceptable state even for early access? I probably would have said for the experience of the studio and the franchise that is on the line, would have said they released it too early even for early access. Now, the thing about it,
beta, I think.
they had never done multiplayer. And that was the core crux of the game, was it was multiplayer. And that's where a lot of the problems came in. So, yes and no. Yes, they're an experienced studio, but they're an experienced studio in single player only. So there was obviously issues in them having to learn how to do Fallout as multiplayer. Yes on the side of multiplayer, no on the side of it being solo. Is my
free,
answer.
it would be different. I'm sure if it was free, it would have been fine. I mean, I feel like even charging people for early access would have been a bit of a rip-off at full price. But
yeah, if it's a massive discount, like quarter the full retail price, then yeah, okay, you could probably forgive them because then you know you're funding something that will get better, or you hope. AAA companies shouldn't do early access. Maybe, I don't know about that one.
Well, they're actually saying I don't think big AAA companies are allowed to do early. Is that a legal thing, or are they just not allowed to do it? Because that kind of seems a little bit weird. Because why shouldn't they be allowed to do it that way?
I
think might not want them. It might be a marketing. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think that being a big company should affect your ability to have early access. Perhaps your early access should have better quality, but the kind of the question I think asking at this point in terms of Fallout is not should it have been released as an early access game, but if it had been, would they have been more forgiven? Because like I think we've all kind of accepted that it wasn't really in a state even for early access, but at least early access would have implied it wasn't an actual game. It would have saved them a bit. Like they probably still shouldn't have released it in that state. But I don't think being a big company should mean that you can't do early access. I agree with what Bob said in that it should probably like come with a discount. Like, hey, help us out, help us fix the problems. For that, you can have the game a bit early and you'll have a discount. And then maybe limit the number of people who do it. Because obviously if it's going to be a massive game, everyone's going to be like, yeah, I'll get it half price. Like, and just not play the early access stuff. And just wait for it to become a proper game.
They could have done.
Yes, so Phoenix responded.
Yeah, and also Ryan has said Epic is a AAA company and they released Fortnite in early access. So
yeah, true. I actually quite enjoyed the Save the World mode
for it to happen. When I think early access devs can't afford to make it without marketing the game out. Yeah, yes and no. There is an element of that with like an indie dev. But I personally I don't see a problem with a AAA doing it if they do it right. If it's just we just want your money now. and then
Yeah.
fuck yes, then that's different. Because then essentially it's just a fucking asset flip, which I could go buy on Steam. I could go buy 1,000 of them on Steam right now for like a penny a pop. Early access always referred to up and coming games for new companies, and new companies
true.
e.g. EA, Bethesda did alphas. Yeah, is that just a wording thing though? Because I mean, early access alphas are normally just like limited for a certain amount of time.
I think.
But alpha's pre-beta, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alpha's
Yeah,
like
yeah, you
really
do an alpha, and that's normally
So
tested internally.
slightly
Then you do
on a slight related note,
Blah, blah, blah.
I remember playing the technical alpha for Anthem, which was 2 months before the game released.
Mm.
So, yeah, that game changed quickly.
I think, yeah, the difference that I think what chat is pointing at is when a big company does
Yeah.
it as like a free thing. But they could probably still do an early access thing, but I think the problem that a big company has is because they're a big company, people expect them to do more for people because they have the money to. So their early access kind of has to have a discount or an incentive or be a free, time limited thing. Whereas a little company can get away with being like, early access, help us out. We need money and love.
Yeah, the whole
attacked by a bug.
machine, the whole corporate machine that's attached behind it. If you're up and coming, you're trying to get the word out, and
Yeah.
it's all low, it's all small, sort of micro things, Twitter and Steam, Greenlight, and all that kind of thing. Where if you're a big studio, it's we go and spend 100 million on advertising and get huge booths in all the biggest cons and get loads of people coming to play it, and it's a massive financial thing. So they don't want to do that for a game that isn't ready. So, and their publisher probably doesn't want them to do it. And all of the, and all of the people, then they're selling that into whatever game or into Amazon and all that. And Amazon don't want to be selling stuff that's not ready. And it's just a completely different expectation, and no publisher wants to go along to Amazon and say, we've got this half-ready game.
Yeah.
Will you sell it now? It's 10 quid off, which means you make less money, but that person won't be buying it at full price when it comes out properly.
Yeah.
And we're not going to advertise. Yeah, it's just...
Minnie and Tinik have both made good points.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have.
Tinik, just on the Anthem was made in 6 months. Go watch a video done by Matt McMuscles. He used to be part of the Super Best Friends. It's what happened with Anthem. It's quite eye-opening in terms of what was going on behind the scenes of BioWare for a long time. Usually early access comes with incentives, price discount to buy into the game and get people to know the game. Big companies can market. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Maybe it's just a wording thing. Maybe if they'd gone, guys, this is like an open beta until the game's ready to launch. Maybe that's a better wording for, instead of saying Fallout 76 early access, maybe it's the Fallout 76 open beta that just runs until the game is ready to go full release. Possibly, I don't know. But
they could have made it free. They'd have made it free.
Yeah.
They would have, and
then have the cut-off date for its release date, so then people who are like who are into it. But I guess if you did that, you've really kind of got to keep your progress throughout it.
If they can't be bothered with that, then
So
I don't think anyone's going to want to play it up until release date and then be like, oh no, I buy it. Oh, now you put me back.
Now, normally I would play the Nintendo Directs, but we got content ID'd for the last one, so we're just going to talk it over. We had the Pokemon Sword and Shield Direct today, which gave away a lot of new information. Can you guys keep an eye on the chat for me, because I can't see it while I've got an article up.
It's fine. They're being nice and polite and just thanking each other.
Cool.
So we had the trollish stuff we had last week.
We had some really interesting information and a lot of gameplay showing off, which was nice to see. So Bob, you're concerned about having no money in time for it coming out. Don't worry about it. It's 15th of November the game releases, so you'll have plenty of time.
Yeah, I just need to clear that little thing called a mortgage.
Yep. On the subject of buying the game, they're doing a really cool thing where you can go and pre-order a double pack which has both of the games in it. I don't know if that will end up being cheaper if you do it that way. If it is, I'm going to get it because there's 2 games in. So we have the max raid battle. So there will be multiplayer, co-op multiplayer in Pokemon for the first time.
Oh wow,
Yep. So it's not.
Steph and I are gonna have a great time with that.
So it's not classic
Multiplayer.
co-op. You're not running around the world
Yeah.
together. It's the raid battles. So before I explain what they are, I need to explain something else. There is an area in the game now called the Wild Area. So the Wild Area is essentially the hub that joins everything together. So you go out into this area, there's Pokemon roaming around, and then there's all the towns and the stadiums, which are the new gyms. They're all sort of plastered around the area. The weather changes depending on the time of day, or the environment changes depending on what the weather's like, blah blah blah. The interesting thing, 2 interesting things, which is where the max raid battles come in. So you can connect online, or you can connect locally to do 4-player raid battles against giant Pokemon. More on that in a bit. But when you're in the wild area, you can walk around with camera control. So it's open world, and you'll be able to control the camera.
Nice. So you can actually look at things at another angle than just top-down isometric.
Yeah.
I quite like that idea.
So to tie into the giant Pokemon, there is a new power-up for them, much along the lines of what were they called? The extra fucking evolutions that were temporary. Forgot the name of them. When you could go like
Mega evolutions.
Yeah, just go with Mega. That's right. Yeah,
Or did they have Ultra or something after that?
It was just
Can't remember.
The giant Pokemon, you get this thing called Dynamax. You can use it once per battle and only for 3 turns, and then your Pokemon shrinks back down. It turns your Pokemon into a giant Pokemon and gives them super moves. That's essentially what it does. These raid battles, you will fight giant Pokemon and will have to use one of the 4 party members will be able to make their Pokemon bigger, make it giant, and then you've got to fight these bosses, and then you're able to capture them at the end. We have some new Pokemon showing off, and Steph will be very happy, Bob, because there's a sheep.
Nice.
It's called Wooloo. We also had Gossifleur showing off, and they showed off the evolution for Gossifleur, which was Eldegoss. We have Dreadnought, who's like this blue and orange snapping turtle that looks fucking awesome. Definitely on the team. My favorite one revealed in that direct was Corviknight. I will bring up an image of it soon. Oh my god, it's amazing, and I want it. I'm just going to fill my team with 6 of them.
Corviknight.
Corviknight. So Corviknight.
Sorry, I had a Dark Forces flashback there.
Did you just like mumble your way off the end of that spelling?
Because I forgot how to spell night. Okay, leave me alone. So
I'm
the
gonna
stadiums
disappear for just a second.
No worries. The stadiums are now the gyms. So you go to these stadiums so that they have the stadiums are
I've blocked
designed.
the camera.
What's he doing?
I don't know what he's doing. Bob, what are you doing?
He's putting the box in the box
No,
back on.
I could put that back on, but I want to show Steph the woolly sheep thing,
Ah, okay.
Oh,
fair
I
enough.
see.
Um,
and she
You're
doesn't want
being
to be on
cried
camera.
for in chat.
I'll be back with my box.
We're
So-
excited.
the stadiums are now the gyms. The stadiums are huge, so that the idea is that the gym leader that you're fighting, his Pokemon will go giant. So the idea is the gyms are bigger so that you can have the giant Pokemon battles. It's like turning your Pokemon into kaiju and fighting. It's pretty cool. So there's some new characters showing off, and I think for the first time ever, the Pokemon professor of the region is female. Is that the first time they've done that? Which is interesting. So
Me and Phil are both like.
Pokemon Go is all I do.
So your
What's the
rival is
first
called Hop. His older brother is the champion of the region. And then Professor Magnolia and our assistant Sonia will help you out throughout it. Customizable outfits and characters, which was in previous games. And then there was the new legendaries, which look fucking awesome. Let's see if we can get a go. So there's your 2 new legendaries. Let's get a bigger image. There we go.
They kind of look like a mixture of previous ones.
I kind of saw them because there's like the CG trailer that they put out towards the end. Again, I wish I could show you, but Nintendo will hit us. They look like Digimon in the CG trailer, which is kind of funny. So right, let me catch up on chat. Would be cool. Kaiju Pokemon, yeah, basically. Looks like a huge Dragon Quest world, but with Pokemon, pretty much. Crystal was the first thing. Well, it's only one. Basically, it's the lady in black and white. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. I wasn't sure on that one if it was the first time. So I just put the box back on. Fuck's sake.
Do you not realise?
I've had you screen. I've had the screen up. I've not seen Discord.
Oh, you're correct. How was I so silly?
Now you know how I feel.
I've been flippant. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, so there's some interesting stuff. I think the open world thing's going to be pretty cool because it's sort of like everything's. It's kind of like a JRPG open world where you kind of just walk around and fight stuff and then walk into towns and do the thing you need to do. I imagine there's still going to be the same Pokemon structure that's normally always there. Just go here and do the thing.
That was so slick.
Go here, do the thing, and then go to the next place and do the thing. So Pokemon battles, like Pokemon gym leaders, are back to normal. It's not like it was in Sun and Moon where you had to do a trial and then fight a gym leader. It's very much classic Pokemon, but done in a modern style, because the hardware they've got for the Switch is perfect for it, and they're really pushing out what they can do. Apparently there's still a ton of Pokemon to reveal as well. It's not going to be a light generation by the sounds of it. It's going to be quite a heavy one. And they've shown off the likes of Charizard and stuff, so we're probably going to see quite a lot of other generations of Pokemon mixed in there as well. More so than you would normally see, because they've got a lot more power to play with and a lot more room to mess around with. So, are we excited for the new Pokemon game?
No.
Yes.
Cool. That was.
There we go. You got hype
No,
in
I
chat.
genuinely am actually quite excited for it. I was just trying to hide it.
I'm excited for Pokemon. Now, I just bought them because it's Pokemon.
Ow! Sorry.
Can't attack you.
Yeah, she just she got up on my lap, but she put her claws in to pull herself up.
Put your claws into
So
her,
normally I would just buy
jump on her.
Pokemon games because they're Pokemon games and whatever, and just play them because they're just fun, piss around and kill time. But this one I'm actually really looking forward to, because it seems like they're really trying to do something here and really modernize Pokemon, because it has essentially been the same game every time it's released, whereas this feels like it's going to be quite substantially different, which is good. One of my personal life savings.
Yeah, there's never like huge differences like between the different Pokemon games that have been released in the past. Like Let's Go Eevee was kind of different, but it was still Red, but redone modernly.
Pokemon Go is different. Completely different.
True.
Not
But
not made by Game Freak though.
Yeah.
We're talking like
I kind of see Pokemon Go as a separate type of Pokemon game, but it is a Pokemon game at the end of the day.
Very popular one.
But, true. I mean, I still play it. Just add things to the previous ones. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of just like we've added more tick boxes for you to collect. But then at least now it seems like they're obviously mechanically trying to do something different in terms of like that open world, and camera control is a fucking. It shouldn't be a huge deal nowadays, but camera control is a pretty big deal because it's the first time in a Pokemon game that it's been done.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really cool just being able to sort of pan your camera around and actually see the world that you're walking around in. Because a lot of it was kind of like, that's a really nice, lush path I'm walking along. Cool. Can I turn the camera and look for stuff?
I've
But
just
then you
never
never
played a
really
Pokemon
tried
personally.
to look around the world in Pokemon that much, really, because you didn't expect to be able to do that ever in a Pokemon game. That was its style. Though it was nice when you actually got, like, especially in Black and White 2, when you actually got some of the camera pan shots
Yeah, I
that sweep
remember
through the
those
world.
because
They
I
were
was like,
nice.
"Ooh, that's cool." I believe
And you actually see the
towns.
city from a different perspective.
Now, I believe towns are still going to be fixed cameras,
Right.
but they're going to be quite zoomed out and dynamic as you're going through them, which is good. But the wild area is the specifically so far anyway that they've said is the only area where you'll have full camera control.
It says
Thank
speak
you,
for yourself, man.
Richard.
Thank you. 500 bits.
Hey.
Yeah. I never actually played Colosseum.
Don't. That's my opinion. Don't. It wasn't good. It was a very limited roster of Pokemon that you caught in a really weird way. It just wasn't great. It was a nice idea to see like a 3D Pokemon, but it wasn't very good. Yeah,
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 you stole
yeah.
Pokemon that were corrupted. Because it was like shadow.
Yeah,
Shadow
you had
Pokemon,
to
something like
cure
that. You had to
them.
cure them. Yeah.
Had to cure them, and then you had to try and catch them. And I say try because you could spend all your time curing them, and then they would still run the fuck away.
Oh. Okay.
So, I guess that's kind of that discussion done, and we've still got half an hour. Phil, did you say you had some stuff you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll just put those Pokemon thingies. I didn't know I had Pokemon emotes. Apparently I do. I don't know where they come from.
Nice.
Where do they come from?
Thoughts on a new Mac? $1,000 fucking stand. What?
Oh, I saw that. I saw that video.
I'm not even gonna
Oh,
look at what the fucking stand does. It's $1,000. Fuck off.
So Apple released their new computer setup, and like the desktop looks like a cheese grater.
All right, now I have to look.
Yeah. Yeah, the Visa mount
Which is
and twists.
better.
Like there's plenty of wall mounts that let you twist your screen.
Look.
Yeah, look.
I can do it right now. And mine cost 20 quid on Amazon.
Yeah, it's
Oh god,
I
it
watched
does
the
look
video
like a
on
cheese grater, doesn't it? Oh my god.
Yeah, it
What
starts.
the fuck?
Yeah,
Did they just go
but
into their kitchen and went, that'll do?
They sell the cheese bomb in London.
They are going to get a lot of those returned with actual grated cheese inside of them.
Why do people
twist-
buy them?
The
Why do
twist
people
as
buy
in
them?
vertical to horizontal.
Which is nothing new.
I'd rather buy bloody Fallout 76 than...
This, yeah, that's at least an affordable price.
I just twisted my screen horizontal to vertical, sort of. I can't because there's not enough clearance on my desk to do it
Yeah.
the whole way, but...
Just looking at the link that T-Nick sent out, and it's true. It's like you can get a OnePlus 6T,
Oh, yeah, I saw
Nintendo
this.
Switch,
I
4
saw
games,
this.
Fire TV, and a year of Netflix for $1,000, or just the stand for their new monitor. The monitor itself doesn't actually come with anything to hold it up.
It's so
You have to buy
Apple!
the stand.
It's such an
Yeah.
Apple thing to do. Build your own desktop, but it will cost you your fucking life.
Yeah.
Ah! There was Bob. You remember this?
Yeah.
There was a couple. It was more than a couple of years ago now. We're talking probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago. The guy that went out and bought a gaming PC and a car for the same price as like one of these fucking Mac Pro things that were out at the time. I think it was like $1,200 he had. He bought a car and a gaming PC, and a pretty good one at that, for the same price as what he would have paid for a Mac.
They're workstation though, aren't they? They are professional.
It still doesn't justify that cost.
Yeah.
No, I know it doesn't, but but nothing does with Apple. But people pay
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
true.
for everything Apple.
It's the brand name.
Yeah,
And
and
It's why
I think
people
they're
pay so
relying-
much for like jack wheels and stuff.
People will be
Yeah.
queuing up outside Apple the day that those launch. and there'll be
That's
queues
the sad
out.
thing.
Yeah, like Princes Street in Edinburgh is going to be an absolute fucking nightmare, and Union Square in Aberdeen is going to be hellish because it's just going to be full of Apple nerds, and I'm just going to want to punch them all.
But you
And-
can't because it's illegal.
But do you know? I'd punch them. I'd take their fucking £2,000 or whatever it's going to cost for the whole setup in the end, and I'll just go use it on something
12K.
fucking sensible. Like,
Just
Jesus.
donate it
Give it
to
to
donate it to a cancer charity or something. That would be a much better cause.
Donate it to an apple orchard just for the fucking irony.
You know, I'm
I still
dissing
spent
Apple
it
here,
on
but I'm
Apple.
actually
So what's the spec on their new Mac Pro or whatever it is? Whatever they're calling the new one.
Let's have a look.
I did see it, but I've forgotten what it was.
The new design
I-
is kept clean with a similar cheese grater aesthetic. It's already lost me. It's already lost me. Aesthetic to the old Power Mac. It's a simple rectangular form with an aluminium casing that can be lifted off for 360-degree access to the entire system. The frame allows for a modular configuration with the smooth handles and allows you to easily move it around, and features a lattice pattern to maximize airflow and quiet operation.
Can I just stop you there a second, John? The old Mac Pros, or whatever they were called, Power Mac, whatever thing, had all of that stuff, and then they decided they wanted to make it a plant pot, which wasn't a modular design, which you couldn't configure as you wanted it. You just had it was.
oh yeah, the big cylindrical thing. Yeah,
It wasn't big, was it? It was quite small. It was only little. But you could put a plant pot
Yeah.
on the top. Probably overheat if you did. But...
Fucking insides of a Mac are horrible. I just, like, I can't light that up. I don't have LEDs that go in there.
Yeah, it's supposed to look good in its own right. It's not supposed to be.
It looks shit though.
I know it does. But it's distinctive.
Look what the screen can do,
Yes,
guys.
it's ugly.
Look what the screen can do. It can go up, down, and turn. And I can do all of that with a £20 mount that I've got on my desk right now.
yeah. I think I spent.
I think you bought the
30.
same mount as me.
I think I did. It was like, was it 30 quid?
20, 30 quid, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't hugely expensive. I did not go for the cheapest one because I was like, I do actually want something that will stay upright. But
Prices for the
having
Mac
money.
Pro start at $5,999.
I know it's ridiculous. It's like the
While the Pro
I-
Display XDR has a starting price
Mhm.
price of $4,999, and the Pro stand costs an extra $999.
yeah, and the screen itself doesn't have any way of standing up by itself. You need to buy something to hold it up.
And so, it's just ridiculous.
It doesn't like have a default stand or a mount of any kind. It just
This is what 30 quid does everything that fucking £1,000 Mac shit stand does.
You seem to have a
It's
giant
not even-
fill on one of
Yeah,
your
ju-
screens.
Yeah, it's got a giant one of those.
we were all pretty big on the screens.
When you turned it around before, it looked like there was just like a giant fill on your other screen. I thought maybe you'd.
So,
We've
John,
got a wormhole
John,
there.
That's
that stand that you're talking about,
yes.
that isn't an equivalent stand to this. That's a stand that you bought to mount two monitors on your desk and move them around. The equivalent to that is the stand that comes with most monitors. Like
Yeah.
200 quid. Like,
Yeah, I
in fact,
suppose.
the
Yeah, you're not
seven-
wrong actually, because because my ones for these monitors do that as well. They go up, down, and they turn, and they came with it. No, you're right. You are right. Fucking hell, that's even worse.
and of the base spec is an 8-core with hyperthreading, 4 gigahertz.
8-core
It's going to be i7, a Xeon processor. But it looks like a single CPU model there. Doesn't say it's dual CPU. And it goes up to a 28-core, 56 thread. Just in case you really like that 8-core thing, the new AMD 12-core, which is going to be like 400 quid, is coming out 2 months' time.
Can I watch an
wait for
Apple
that.
conference where instead of them showing off overly priced items, they just come out and just ejaculate over everybody? Because that's essentially what they're just doing. Or like, can we just do that? Like, because that'd be more entertaining and free. So we don't give a shit about you. Just spend your money with us and make yourself poor.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I think a lot of it's just driven by greed. They think that their brand is so
Mm.
That
popular that they
image
can
of
just charge
them
whatever
from
they want.
decades ago has spun back up again. Of like, does more for less. Think
Yeah.
Apple. That's popped up again because it's like does less
Yeah.
for more. Think Apple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, we've got the graphics cards. The base model
No, I
includes.
think right. So
Oh.
yeah, this is the ad campaign from 1993. Does more cost less? It's that simple. Fucking knob ends.
they've gone the opposite direction to what they should have been doing.
Bob, you
Mm.
remember this as well when we were in school. You'll remember the point where we stopped using Macs because they started getting expensive and it all switched to PCs.
Mm.
Because you remember the computer
I think
lab?
actually no,
Brand
that
new
was the
school.
year.
Brand new
That was
school.
a year after I left
They
because they
had
had Macs in the computing rooms.
so they
There
had
was Mac
Macs
Minis.
all the way around the room when they first
Yeah.
opened the school, and
Mm.
then within about a year of that happening, there was suspiciously less Macs, and it went down to like 2 on the side of the room, and everything else was just PCs because it was like we don't have to pay as much for these, and they're
Yeah.
easier to fix.
Yeah, I remember like I think
We got
they
acorns.
kept the Macs in at least one of the room, like one of the classrooms. So there was an all Mac classroom for long enough. I remember CDT just refused to have the Macs in the first place because you couldn't get the software that we needed on Mac at the time. It was just not available. It was only on Windows. So like, no, we have to have Windows PCs.
Now, our craft department refused to buy PCs and insisted on buying acorns. And they insisted how much better they were, and the RISC CPU was so much better than the. And you had a 486 emulator on it, and all sorts. So you could do you could run Windows 3.11 on there if you wanted. I gave them so much shit about it. I kept getting told off, but I gave them shit about it. Turns out I was right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Sorry, I'm just having a rave in my.
I was gonna say,
I'm sure
are you
replaced
getting
them by-
arrested, John? Like,
Yeah, the Apple police have come from now. We're next on the list.
what are you doing?
It's my
He's flashing.
LEDs.
Oh, Jesus,
Why
that's
have you
right on the
done
eyes.
this? Yeah, no, everyone. Hey, yeah, everyone who's got epilepsy. Sorry.
Forgot about that. My bad.
Epilepsy warning needs to go on the YouTube video. You know.
That'll be fine.
There's a lot that the logo of Apple has taken a bite. It's always been missing a bite. It's probably gone a bit weird and brown and mushy by now.
You'd
Mm.
think with all that money they could just go buy a new Apple.
No, they need us to spend our money on them before they can do it. It's like early access
Yeah.
for the logo.
So yeah.
Why have you got the flashing lights on?
I've sort of turned them off. Right, there we go.
It's very Christmassy now. The sort of slow.
It's red now. Okay, I'm in a red mood. I don't fucking know what that means.
To represent his
Red
rage.
Lantern.
Yeah, some
Oh, okay.
flashing-
Me and Bob went different ways.
I mean, what did you say, Nelly?
To represent your rage.
Red lanterns are rage.
Uh,
So you just kind of went for the same thing, but Bob,
Kind
I'm
of,
very
yeah.
tired.
Bob went
I don't know.
nerdy. You went psychology,
Yeah.
and they met in the middle. Fuck, I can't go over that fucking stand shit, man. Jesus Christ.
Whoa, Richard.
Yes. Nerdology. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah,
So
that
Phil,
works.
what did you have then?
So who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just thought. I mean, I can't be bothered now, but I was wondered what you thought of the Xbox Game Pass or whatever it was going to be. I can't remember what it's called now.
That is a very interesting move. we talked about it in Ryan's Discord. If Microsoft hadn't done that, because we were talking about how sort of, if Epic becomes dominant, what happens to Steam, blah blah blah, and I said, well, Microsoft kind of just saved Steam a little bit because they kind of went, everything that we've got first party is coming to Steam because we just want people to play it. It's such a change of pace. We've kind of talked about it before as well, but it's such a change of pace of Microsoft for them to go from being very very unsure to being everybody have it. Even Nintendo, you can have it too. I think it's a very interesting move. It doesn't make me any more interested in Gears of War 5, that's for sure. I kind of lost interest in Gears of War. Master Chief Collection coming is going to be good, but that's already been announced before they talked about Game Pass. The interesting thing though is that they will have cross-platform between Windows Store and PC. So if you own it on one, you'll be able to play with people on the other, and they weren't talking to each other for a long time because they were trying to be the competition and failing.
Is there any suggestion? Will the Game Pass just be one Game Pass? Do you know that? And if you've got the game on one, you have it. So if you've got it on Xbox, you've also got it on PC. Obviously, they'll have something to stop you playing it at the same time. Or
I
stop you
would
playing
imagine so, because it's active on your Xbox Live account. So I would imagine that would be the case. I know that if you have it on your Xbox Live account and you use it through the Windows Store, as long as you have an active subscription, then it's there. The only difference in terms of Xbox on PC and Xbox on Xbox is that you don't need gold to play on PC, like a multiplayer. So
I hope they get rid of that. I hope that they whatever the Xbox 2 or whatever, that they don't have that live gold nonsense. It's just because it's effectively it's free on PC, it's free on every other fucking platform except PlayStation, but it just doesn't really belong. If you're getting this subscription model, it just needs to go away.
I think the argument for it though is it pays for, and it should be paying for more of a service. I think Nintendo's is really well done. The NES library is really cool, and it's only like £4 a month, which is much better than like £60 a year. I think it's at right now, because the prices have gone up. And you're only getting, well, Microsoft are still doing 4 games, but Sony have gone down to 2. Because they removed the PS3 support. I'm hoping that they do something to replace that, otherwise they're price hiking, and they shouldn't be because they're not giving enough back from the service. $20 a year for Nintendo.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully this pass will incorporate it at the very least, and if not, just replace it. So they give you that for free, and then if
so
you
there
want
was
pass,
the rumor floating around for a while that Microsoft were going to do an all-in-one pass that would cost like slightly more for the year, but you would have Game Pass and Xbox Live thrown into that. And it would just become like a one thing. But it was a rumor. They've not done anything official. I'm assuming we'll find out more at E3 because they have Sony's spot, which is going to be interesting because they start at 9 p.m. on Sunday night here in the UK. The next show's not till 1:30 in the morning. Now, obviously, they're not going to run that long, but there's not normally that much of a gap between the shows because Sony's normally there.
It's interesting that Sony aren't about. I know we discussed this last couple of casts, but yeah, it's just Sony are like, nah, we don't do E3 anymore. It's a bit of an odd one.
They've gone down Nintendo's route of doing the state of play,
Their
but
own one.
for them to not be at E3 at all, because even Nintendo has the Treehouse, where they have like the games there and they have like hosts and stuff to come in, and they reveal more information about them in the Treehouse, because they sort of just show off the trailers at the Direct, and then the Treehouse is where you get all the information. So you kind of, Nintendo doesn't just watch the Direct, it's watched the Direct and then the Treehouse that follows it, because you'll see like live gameplay demos and people will be talking about mechanics and release dates and stuff, and they don't talk about them all the time at E3 in the Directs.
True.
I am looking forward to like a 30-minute Direct that is different games and not just one game specifically, because the last 2 Directs have been Mario Maker and Pokemon. And then before that was the one that we did on the stream where they talked about Platinum Games' new thing, which is the thing I really want to see from them. $40 a year for 8 people, I believe, or something like that. Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking of. Oh no, for Nintendo's, yeah, there's a family pass. Well, you're certainly not going to get it at E3 because Sony aren't there, so they've got nothing to announce. My suspicion is that everything that they currently have on the go is not ready to be shown or talked about properly, so they decided to bail on the show until it is ready. Because right now, their two biggest titles, which is Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, have gone pretty quiet. And they're kind of all Sony have really got at the moment. Obviously, they might have other stuff hidden away that they're not talking about right now. But, you know, Death Stranding's trailer's been released that still tells you fuck all about what it is. And that was their other big card in their hand. So they've only got two left at the moment. Which is probably why they're playing so nice with Modern Warfare.
Is Resistance 4 on the cards now? Because I keep seeing the stuff that say it is and then don't hear anything for ages.
I don't know because Insomniac are kind of doing Marvel games now. So I don't know, unless it's a different studio.
Yeah, but do they own the, I was going to say, do they own the rights to it, or is who are they just making it?
I don't know. It would
Can look it
probably
up, can't I?
be on Insomniac's Wikipedia.
Got Google on this computer. Just talk about release dates and rumors and stuff. So it looks like that's October last year. So PS5 title probably. Oh, that looks nice. Just reading the.
They're clearly putting all their time and money into PlayStation All Stars 2. I would have a PlayStation All Stars 2 if they made it better than the first one. Because the first one wasn't fucking terrible. It just wasn't Smash, and that's why everybody went, well, this is so shit. It had weird mechanics, but it wasn't a bad game. It's still competent. It's still a decent little arcadey fighter thing. It's just everybody wanted it to be Smash but PlayStation characters, and it wasn't. Because you had to finish people with supers. You couldn't just knock them off the stage. What a shame. Sorry, I know people in the Smash community, and they are very. There's not a safe word that I could use on the internet to explain it. Had to include Dante. Well, we have 10 minutes left, so whoever's kicking about the chat just now, since it's happening on Sunday, drop us some E3 predictions, just very quickly, and we'll kind of go over them. There's not really anything that, even for like Discord and channel related stuff for me this week, so I said Dante. So
Have you got the Unreal tournament planned?
I have not, because my hours are kind of all over the place at the moment. Because we're heading into we have two universities in Aberdeen, and their graduation weeks are there's Aberdeen Uni 1 week, then there's a week where we don't have anything, and then there's RGU afterwards. So my hours are kind of doing this right now.
That's fair.
Not a prediction. I just want the date for Animal Crossing on Switch. You may see that, Blue. They've gone quite quiet on that.
As a prediction for, I reckon that Microsoft might do something on whatever their live, that Stadia thing that Google's doing. I think there might be something about that. Whether it's, I don't think it'll be a launch, but it'll be
I think they did say when they talked about it, when they properly talked about it in that Inside Xbox a couple of months ago. I'm sure they said something about it being at E3, and they would talk more about it then, because they were talking about the cloud stuff for Game Pass and being able to play it on your phone and stuff. It wouldn't you're probably right. It wouldn't surprise me if that's there.
But the thing that makes me say that though is because their Stadia stuff is that Google have said they're going to release some information about it, and it feels like it could be a spoiler or a response type. The timing could be like just to make sure people aren't talking too much about the Microsoft one without anything to say about the Google one, and Google probably just got wind of it or whatever. But that's why I say it. But we'll see. Oh, and they might announce that they're buying Blizzard. They're not going to do that.
No, they're not buying Blizzard.
They
Blizzard's damaged goods at the moment. Nobody's touching Blizzard.
Bargain.
Is it a bargain if you might not be able to fucking save it?
If you want.
You might not want. That's kind of the realistic scenario of that. Is that you might not be able to save Blizzard.
Oh, they can. They there's Blizzard. If they that Blizzard will be fine. one
I
way
mean,
or another.
financially, yeah, Richard, but in the eyes of people who are actually playing their fucking games, they're kind of a bit damaged at the moment. Like,
Oh,
they've gone super quiet since that Immortal thing. Like, they very, very quietly released a new co-op commander and a map for StarCraft 2. And, like, I don't pay much attention to Overwatch. I know there was a Hearthstone expansion came out not that long ago, but it's like, it's gone super quiet. And it's like, are we going to see Diablo Immortal, or is it just being like, just didn't happen?
Quietly shelved.
Yeah. I don't know. The latest thing for Blizzard for me was Egon Stepman.
Yeah, with the co-op commander.
Yeah, Co-op Commander Stress 2, which actually is quite fun, but his units are squishy as all hell. I was just quite surprised to see Mecha Zerg. That was like
It was a very strange but very cool
street.
skin.
Yeah.
You've got a new card coming out as well.
Which, for
I
the
know that's
first
Activision, but
time
it's all
in a very long time, I'm curious about. Mostly because of what they're doing behind the scenes. So supposedly free DLC, no season pass, and cross-platform across all platforms. That's very different for Activision. That's not Activision that everybody knows because they're money-grabbing bastards, and they're not doing a season pass. They're giving all the DLC away for free, and Sony are playing ball and going cross-platform. It could be very, very interesting. I'm not buying it day one. I'm not pre-ordering it. I'm spending money on that when it's fucking down to 10 quid in pre-order and pre-owned. But like,
I'm not going to buy it. Just full stop. I'm not going to buy it. But a lot of people will.
Yep, a lot of
Probably
people will.
do.
Well, we won't hear the end of it.
We will. Next year there'll be Black Ops 5. Then we'll hear the end of.
That's if they still have those studios, because they'd be fighting in between them, like between themselves, a lot. That's the whole reason. So it's not. It should have been somebody else. I can't remember what what developers they actually have working on COD, but it should have been two teams working on it, and then they went, "You two won't stop fucking fighting, so we're taking it off you and giving it to someone else." And it's that's if they still have them, because Activision might just go, "Do you know what? We're fucking bored of this shit," and sell them or close them down and move them into other studios. In a very
just buy them all.
typical EA move to do that. Just going back to how cheap Fallout 76 was, I also saw Anthem for 15 quid on PC the other day. That's bad. Anthem for 15 quid.
You what?
That was another one I saw super cheap. I was like, ooh, but I might buy it just to finish the story and then never look at it again.
Just YouTube the ending.
Because see, the thing is though, like the actual minute-to-minute gameplay is fine. It's just like the overall experience is shit. I guess it might not be the same case now, but right. So yeah, what ending? That's probably true. Yeah, I guess that's it from us. We kind of got the two things covered that we really wanted to, and then we spent 20 minutes moaning about how shit Apple are. So that's a pretty good show to me. Yeah, guys, there's not really much for me to say. There's not a lot happening in Discord or the channel at the moment. We're kind of just waiting for E3 to happen. It's been very, very quiet over the last couple of weeks, so I'm actually kind of grateful that Todd Howard said something fucking stupid. And then Apple did something really stupid apparently as well. So, yeah, it's
like the Apple
stupid, isn't it?
With Apple, their products are fine. They're good quality products. They're just not worth the insane amount of money they're asking or demanding.
And they never have been.
I know. It's just like they have gone like extreme with the pricing to a level that doesn't even make sense. It's like you can't. I fail to see how you can justify it. Like even £200 for the Visa wall mount thing is like, or $200. It's like that's a hella expensive thing. The fact that their new monitor that Pro thing is like 6K. It's like, how do you justify that?
You don't.
Like I've
Even
seen like 85-inch tellies for less than that.
even as a curiosity, that if I had the money to burn, I mean properly burn, as in like I could light it on fire, that's probably what I would do. I wouldn't even get it just to go, is this actually worth it? Because I would know on the surface, no, it's not. Like, I would
No.
honestly
Yeah.
rather just light the money on fire.
It's either that or Apple forgot to put the decimal points in on their prices.
Now they're just going with it.
Now they're like, oh, well, we've got to go now. It's too
Right.
late.
Yeah,
So anyway,
we're fine.
closing
How
it
much
out.
is the monitor?
Yeah.
Like $5,000
Yeah.
without
It's
a stand.
You
ridiculous.
said one was
Just-
started at 499, and
Yeah.
the other one was 5,999. 99999.
Okay.
Right, so we're closing up. So I put a message out in my Discord. I put a message out in a friend of mine's Discord. I will be sitting, hopefully not by myself, with the E3 press conferences from Microsoft. I'm going to actually double check this so I don't get it fucking wrong. I put it. Where did I put it? I put it in my general chat. Where is it? There we go. So I will be covering Microsoft and Bethesda, so 9 p.m. and then we'll take a little bit of a break and come back at 1:30 on the Sunday. So 1:30 a.m. Now, if I have to do that one by myself, fair enough. It's 1:30 in the morning. I will not be doing Devolvers because it's at 3 a.m. Fuck that. I have a split shift on the Monday, but we will be back. I may. No, do I have a split shift on the Monday? I can't remember. But I will be back hopefully for the
Better
Ubisoft
check that
one
quick.
on 9 p.m. Hopefully, unless I'm still working. Square Enix at 2 a.m. I will be doing, and then Nintendo's at 5 p.m. on the Tuesday. We'll be covering as well. I'll be covering that because that's one I actually really want to see. I hope I can do the Square one because it's got the Avengers game, and I really want to see that. I want to see what that is. So if you guys want to join me, I'll have a VC somewhere that I'll be in, and I'll just be chatting shit while watching Phil Spencer speak shit and show off a new
Phil
fucking.
Spencer.
That's his name, isn't it?
Phil Spencer. The,
Microsoft dude.
the property guy. Kirsty Allsop and Phil Spencer.
I think you're thinking of a different Phil Spencer from me because it's the Microsoft dude is also called Phil Spencer, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
We'd better Google that.
I might have.
It is fucking.
I think it is. I think it is.
It is Phil Spencer,
It's
Microsoft.
Tommy,
It is. It is. You had me fucking worried there that I'd fucked up again.
It is also Phil Spencer on location as well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Richard's backing you up. So guys, that's kind of it this week. I'm just gonna ping this shit. There's the Discord. There's the Twitters. Nope, that's the wrong command. The socials. That's the one I wanted. There we go. Discord. Go to it. We're cool. There's people, stuff, things, free games. Sometimes we do other things. Social
Yep.
media. That's how you get our notifications that we're going live. You people, I hope you enjoyed it. Phil, anything to say before you go?
Oh yeah, follow this streamer that I've just put the link to. He's cool. He's not that cool. He's a bit miserable, grumpy. But you know, follow him and appreciate it. Come along, say hello.
I like how Phil's in a guest host spot and he still thinks he's like trying to plug his own stream.
He is trying to plug his own stream.
I know he is.
It's not like he supported us for months.
Oh man. Yeah, go to Phil's channel, watch his Overwatch stuff. It's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes we all play together.
Nah, where's the
Yeah.
LinkedIn drop?
No Langton
Yeah.
this week. No Langton.
No, but you can work it out if you really want to know where it is.
We only bring that out in special occasions.
Having Phil
Yeah.
on as a guest isn't one of those.
I mean,
No.
we kind of
Oof.
milked it a bit at the start, and I think that's why it's now sort of like, you know, when Phil stepped back from full time, we brought it out that one last time, and then maybe like Christmas when I decide
Christmas.
to do the same thing again, where I pull everybody in and we just get pissed and play Jackbox. It'll be the same then. We'll pull up the LinkedIn as a Christmas present to the fans.
Just because nobody has tried to link in with me. Nobody from anywhere.
I think it's just
Me,
like we just
not Matt,
created a thing.
not Richard, or any of those people that regularly show up in Discord or in the chat. None of them. So fuck you all.
I'll see if I can find you.
Nelly, anything to say before we go?
My Twitter's not as broken as it used to be.
Hey.
Oh.
I can now access it on my phone. I still don't use it, but I can access it on my phone.
I am going to be setting up a sort of Misadventure Inc. Twitter, so I'm going to keep mine as my personal Twitter. And basically, what I'm going to have it do is just pull tweets from people involved and just have it send them out. And it's just kind of going to be like, you guys will have login details if you want to put like bespoke tweets out, but beyond that, it'll just kind of be like essentially like a retweet bot for us, just to kind of
Maybe I'll learn how to use Twitter.
spin it up. Bob?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah, so I've started using just to promote my stuff I'm now actually doing. So a bit of a shameless plug from me. You've already put your socials up there at Sorcerer Mjolnir. I've posted 2 YouTube vids. And I want to see some comments and some thumbs up, please. Mainly because I just want to know if it's actually catching anyone's attention and if there's something better I can do with in those videos. I'm still going to be doing Minecraft regardless. But also I posted a really great hack that was not clickbaity in any way, shape, or form for you actually, yeah, mind you, the way I announced it to you, it's no wonder you believed that I had a hack for it. But yeah, I posted a hack for Satisfactory of me just dumping some stacked coins in a D20 on the E key and auto mining. It was great, and I actually got a like from a complete stranger from the mining industry, the actual mining industry.
Nice.
I was like, nice, complete stranger like that. So that was my crowning achievement on the internet.
When did you make your second video public, Bob? What day was it? Sunday.
On Sunday.
You've had 10
Sunday
views
evening.
since Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's doing better than I expected.
Not a lot of engagement, but it's doing good. Considering we've got 22 subscribers, I think that's not too bad.
Oh, miners. No. Mine errors. Maybe it's the accent.
And for
Must
me,
be an
yep,
accent.
join me on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for E3 shit, and then we'll be breaking it all down and talking about the trailers and the things that we like the most on the Wednesday, and it'll be an E3 special. Yay! That's going to be it, guys. Thank you for coming along, and we will see you in the next podcast. Bye!
I won't. I won't see you.
Bye.
Bye.
You'll be in chat.
Go away, Phil. Bye.